Welcome to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy. And today we're going to tell you about Noah Presgrove.
Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, and Facebook. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you get the new episodes whenever they drop. And tell your friends as always.
We're back.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a break. Took off, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
But,
Sorry.
For all y'all that doesn't know us, we have about 5 million jobs.
Yes.
And, we've been very busy.
Very.
We also have a food truck. And if you guys haven't ever had Country Boy Smoke Q, go ahead and put a little plug in there for
you are
them.
missing out.
Yep, you're missing out because it's the best barbecue ever.
Yes. And we are in food truck season here in Oklahoma. So, yeah.
Yeah, so right now is a very busy time for us. So we're going to try to get a few recorded out. That way, maybe nobody will miss out on anything.
Yeah, we'll figure this out. I promise.
Yep.
All right. Oh, also, we are going to twice a week.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to go to 2 episodes a week. I know we've been doing around 4.
A million or 6. Yeah.
Yeah, but, since we've hit the 50 episode mark and everything, we're going to start cutting it back to where it's like 2 episodes per week.
Mm-hmm.
And, that way it gives everybody a little bit more to,
a little more time to listen. Yeah.
A little more time to listen, and it stretches them out a little bit further.
Yes. Okay. So this one, I know I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. This is one of those cases that I have been completely engulfed in for several weeks now because so much has been coming out since the autopsy results. So it's one of those that almost every day there's something different, and it involves a bunch of teenagers as well. So, and young 20s. So there's a lot of social media and finger pointing and rumor. And it's just one of those cases. And some people wonder why we do so many unsolved cases. And that's very simple to me. They need to be talked about. The more they're talked about, the more there's a push to keep the case from going cold. The more chances that someone who knows something might hear and come forward with information, the more chances people will speak up. And that's why we talk about them. And that brings us to Noah. We're talking about Comanche, Oklahoma in Stevens County. Now, Noah emancipated from his parents when he was 17 years old and was living with his grandmother. He's referred to as a 4-sport athlete. So he was big into football, cross country, track, and wrestling. So he was very, very athletic. He was a jokester who loved to have a good time, was a country boy who loved the outdoors, and apparently loved the ladies. His family thought that he would get a real kick out of them saying that he was a ladies' man in his obituary, so he has a good sense of humor too. He graduated high school in May of 2023, but was taking kind of a gap year, according to his brother Dalen. He talked about joining the military with his cousin, but his cousin didn't graduate until this year, 2024. So Noah was actually taking that year off to have some fun and wait for his cousin, and then they would enlist together. And like I said, there's been some coverage on this one, but it is getting a lot more attention because the autopsy report came out in May. So let's talk about it. In September of 2023, Labor Day weekend, it was also the same weekend as Rocklahoma. For those who don't know, that is a weekend rock festival literally out in a field in Pryor, Oklahoma, and has a wide range of bands. Last year it was Limp Bizkit, Corey Taylor, Rob Zombie, Skid Row, Pantera, Bush, Chevelle, and so many more. And lots of people just camp out there for the weekend. And his uncle and aunt were spending the weekend camping out there, and Noah had planned on going with them. Now, their son had a football game that Friday night, so Noah was going to ride out to Pryor with them after. He asked if a 16-year-old friend of his could go with them, and while they had an extra ticket, they did say no because they didn't know the kid and didn't want to take responsibility for him all weekend at a rock festival. So many things can happen out there. So Noah decided to just stay and go to a weekend-long party for a friend's 22nd birthday. On Monday, September 4th, 2023, 19-year-old Noah's body was discovered on the southbound side of Highway 81 near Terrell, Oklahoma. He was naked, in the fetal position, wearing only mismatched shoes, one of which wasn't even his, and he sadly was no longer alive.
So naked, 2 different shoes, on the road, alone, no car or anything.
Nothing, just him. Yeah. So it was Noah's body, and a few feet away was a pair of shorts, which were also not his. And his brother has said that it looked like they were almost folded, laying there, which was really odd. There were 3 pieces of a white metal chain and the bottom half of one of his teeth, which was a molar. No vehicle. And there was 1 little spot of blood, but there was significant damage to Noah's body. The extensive injuries are horrific, and we will get a little graphic. I mean, this is a true crime podcast after all, so trigger warning, because it starts right now. The back of his skull was caved in, so that was noticed right away. And we'll get into details a little later. But the initial story is that a semi-truck drove by at about 5:53 a.m. and saw something on the shoulder of the 2-lane highway. He knew it didn't look right, so he turned around, which is not easy for a big rig. When he came back, he saw that it was a body, and he called 911. Now, also don't skate past the trauma of someone finding a body, as they're just going about their day. Things like this affect so many lives. The initial assumption of police was that it was a hit and run. Understandably, it's a body found on the shoulder of a highway after all, but it was really suspicious. He was found within roughly a mile of the party house, and we'll post a picture of the highway where they marked the body and the evidence, and it's oddly in almost a straight line down the shoulder of the highway. As they worked the scene, they didn't find any debris from what you would see in an auto pedestrian accident, kind of like in the Stephen Smith case. Highway Patrol expects to see some debris. If you're hit by a vehicle, there's typically some piece of the vehicle that breaks off, or there's broken glass or lenses from the signals, headlights, things like that. But there was nothing. Plus, as they looked over Noah's body, they noticed the majority of the big damage was above the waist and on his left side. Of course, there were some marks that looked like it could be road rash, scrapes, kinda, but there wasn't a whole lot on his arms or legs.
So if all the damage was high up on his body, it makes sense it could be a semi or a tall truck that would have hit him if this is what would hit him.
If it was a hit and run, right?
Yeah.
Right. But even then, they said that there would be indications of what they call wraparound. So as you're hit by something, your body wraps around it, or I guess could flip over it. But that causes more damage to more areas of your body, not just high and to the left. And this was also a highway with a speed limit of 65. There likely would have been much more damage if he had been hit by a semi at that speed. Couple that with the severe head trauma and that very small amount of blood on the highway, and the investigation really begins. And I know I typically like to do a timeline, but I think I'll go ahead and tell you about some of the injuries from the autopsy report first, so you have a better idea as you start forming your opinions. The cause of death was listed as multiple blunt force traumas, and the manner is listed as undetermined since they're still investigating to find out exactly what happened that weekend. We talked about his skull damage. He had road rash on his hip, gravel rash on his shoulder blade, multiple skull fractures, 10 broken ribs, skull, neck, and spinal fractures. Like, there's a list of C's and 10s, basically showing his neck was broken in multiple places and displaced from his skull. And his back was reportedly broken in multiple places too. Internal bleeding, brain and organ damage, punctured lungs, and there was air in both his cranial cavity and spinal cord, which is apparently rare and only found in cases with massive head trauma. The fingertips on both hands were described by his brother as shredded, and I mean to the bone. Part of his scalp was tore off, his upper and lower lips were split, his tongue was torn on the left side. There was blood coming out of both of his ears. There was a black material found in the wound on his back, but it is not stated in the report what they think it is. His front, top, and bottom teeth had been busted out. Pieces were found scattered at the scene as they were processing. According to a lot of reports, his best friend Jack's dad, whose name is Caleb, had some in his pocket.
Wait, what? Explain that.
Sounds weird.
Why would he have some of his teeth in his pocket?
It sounds weird, right? See, it's just things don't make sense. And this reported story is one of high debate as to what exactly went down the night before as well as that morning. But the story, according to text messages that have been uncovered, is that Jack and his dad Caleb were supposed to go fishing that morning. Jack overslept and texted Caleb that he would just meet them there, but when he was leaving, he came across the scene. So he ended up calling his dad. So Caleb met him there after Jack let him know what was going on. And that is why they were both on the highway that morning. I guess Caleb saw some teeth on the ground, so he picked them up and put them in his pocket. He said he didn't know what they were. But one, why are you walking around in a crime scene with no supervision? And two, why are you picking stuff up? Like I said, it's just another thing in this case that doesn't make sense. But let's get back to Noah. His blood alcohol level was 0.14, and there was nothing else found in his system, like drugs or anything. The shorts found with him actually belonged to his best friend Jack, but there was no damage to the shorts. He had road rash on his hip and scrapes on his butt, so why was there no damage to the shorts? Along the hit and run theory, many partygoers said that they could come off when Noah was hit, but without any damage? And they went over his shoes? One of the shoes was his Adidas tennis shoe, which had a lot of grass and dirt in it and on it. The other was someone else's Hey Dude with minimal grass and dirt. Now, Hey Dudes are slip-on shoes. I doubt your shorts could be pulled off of your body without taking that Hey Dude with them, but that's just my opinion. Plus, there was reportedly no real damage to either shoe. They found 2 clumps of hair at the scene, one on the road and one on his right buttock. Neither had roots, so they don't believe they were ripped out. And there was a stick figure drawn in black Sharpie on his thigh, so keep that in mind. Now let's get into what led to this. There are a lot of conflicting stories because, like I said, you have a bunch of teenagers, young 20-somethings that have been drinking for several days. Plus, we know that police in an active investigation won't release all the information. But here's what's been reported as to what has happened. It was a typical party weekend. They were playing beer pong and having slapping competitions. So, where you slap somebody really hard. It's like a thing now.
Oh, yeah. Hate to admit it, but it used to happen at some of my parties.
I don't remember any of that happening at your parties.
You should, because your brother was the one that egged them on.
Damn it. Of course he was. Okay, so that's a guy thing. I got you. But there were guys and girls participating. The guys weren't slapping the girls, but the girls were definitely getting in on slapping the guys. Now, the double-edged sword in this day and age is that most people live on social media. So there were a lot of Snapchats and videos of this weekend. Oddly enough, most were deleted around the time of death or shortly after. But kids, the internet is forever. Police have pulled those.
There's always a trail, and people will screenshot everything too.
Yeah, so even if you don't leave a trail, somebody else is going to have it, yeah.
Even if you manage to delete it, someone somewhere probably has it in their camera roll.
Yep, and that's what's happening here.
And even though you delete it, doesn't mean it's deleted.
Don't mean it's gone.
Jackasses. I got a feeling this is coming up.
Well, like I said, they've been able to pull a lot of this stuff, and there's a lot available online that you can see. Now, in the pictures and video, he is shirtless, so that's not a big shock that he was found without one on. He's also wearing a necklace, which they have not come out and said if the 3 pieces of white chain found on the highway were parts of that necklace or what it was exactly. But they have not mentioned that the necklace is missing, so that may indicate that they believe that's what it is. If you're looking at any of the pictures, it is believed that on Saturday, he was wearing tan shorts. Girls are writing on him with black Sharpies and white paint pen looking things. On Sunday, it is reported that Noah drove home and showered because in the earlier Saturday videos, he is Sharpie free and wearing black shorts. He left his vehicle at home because it was leaking oil. And one story the cops got was that a friend picked him up and dropped him off at a truck stop in Waurika to get food at Sonic. They left him there, and then the 22-year-old birthday girl went and picked him up. The second story they got was that Jack, the best friend, had picked him up from home, and they went straight to the party house. Either way, Noah was there without his vehicle. Now, he and Jack had gotten into an argument at one point because Jack thought that Noah and Jack's girlfriend were talking a little too closely. But that fizzled out pretty quickly, and they were back to best friends, according to some. Another partygoer got into an argument with Noah because he accused Noah of stealing his cell phone. He reportedly fish hooked Noah, so Noah bit his finger, but it didn't really go much past that. The phone was found under a couch cushion that someone was sleeping on. As the day went on and the drinking started taking a toll, people started writing on Noah again with black Sharpies. You can see this in some of the pictures. Girls were writing their names, Noah's hot, and someone drew a penis on his butt. It has not fully been determined exactly what was written on which day, but he was written on both days according to all of the pictures. Noah and several guys took out Jack's side-by-side and rolled it at about 3 a.m. Reportedly, no one was seriously injured because it is a side-by-side with a roll cage. But one story the cops got was that Noah was so dirty that some of the girls gave him a shower and he put on a pair of Jack's shorts. The other story was that Noah was so drunk and he was out of it that they had to give him a cold shower to get some sense back into him. Whether either story is true or there's another storyline out there we haven't heard yet, the story is what a lot of people say explains why the marker was no longer all over him when they found his body. But it doesn't to me. I know that Sharpie takes a lot of scrubbing to get off. So tell me what body wash or soap they were using to get all that Sharpie off of him. Because remember, when he was found, the only thing he had on him was that stick figure on his leg. That was it. The two girls that showered him were reportedly a girl that will later post a Snapchat we'll talk about, and Jack's girlfriend. Both are reportedly CNAs, which are certified nursing assistants. So if they say that he was fine after the accident, I mean, they could give a pretty educated guess on whether he had some damage or not.
You know, and he got into it with the birthday girl after the shower too.
He did. So the birthday girl is actually Jack's girlfriend's sister. So that's why everybody ties together. It's Oklahoma. This happens. I guess she had a little crush on him, and they were talking about it when he called her a fat, nasty bitch. And she was not happy. I can't say I blame her. He tried to sleep in her bed after his shower, but she told him to sleep on the floor. And apparently that made him so mad that he left on foot. Remember, he doesn't have a vehicle, so he really didn't have a choice. It has been reported that he left the house around 3:45 a.m., but that is an estimate, not a clear time. What is clear is one of the girls who showered him posted a Snapchat consistently until about 3:14. Then there wasn't anything until she posted a picture of her smiling face at 3:41 a.m. with the caption, "Well, Noah's missing." Her hair does appear to be damp, so it is speculated that the break-in activity was her showering Noah. Do with that what you will, but she has come out and said that he had a tendency and a history of kind of wandering off. And some even have come out and reported now that he actually wandered off or left Saturday night as well. So both nights that he was there, supposedly he took off, except this night was a big deal. So when she posted that, she didn't think that anything was really going to happen to him or, in hindsight. Then partygoers say that they fed him ramen noodles and yogurt before he left the house. Dalen was on the Partners in True Crime podcast, which is a podcast that we like, so go check them out. They've covered the Molly Miller and Colt Haynes case in great detail and continue to work on that to this day. They have a lot of great information. But Dalen said that there were about 20 to 30 people partying, but only about 7 or 8 actually stayed at the house that night. And not all were known to Noah. A couple of guys were from Texas since they were close to the Oklahoma-Texas border. Many believe this is why the Texas Rangers are helping in the investigation, but it hasn't been confirmed exactly why they are involved. And like I said, police did talk to all the partygoers and pulled phone data. Jack's girlfriend denied even knowing Noah at first. Now, this is her boyfriend's best friend, but she's like, I don't even know who that is. And then when they looked at her phone, she had wiped it. Call it panic, call it suspicious behavior, but it's a red flag. And I also want to mention that Noah got onto his own phone plan that Friday and got a new iPhone. The phone was found at the party house, but they have never located his wallet. Oklahoma Highway Patrol got a geofencing warrant for about a mile and a half radius of the party house that night and see that 2 phones left the house, went briefly to the location where Noah's body was found, then returned to the house. Partygoers said that they took the side-by-side out to look for him, so that must have been it. We all know that doesn't add up, right? You go to look for him, but you only go straight to where he was found and back to the house? No. We all know what that looks like. Allegedly.
They are still investigating, trying to build a case, but there's a lot of different theories floating around.
Always. One theory is that there was a version of car surfing, like Teen Wolf style, and it just went south, which is always a possibility. But that's pretty much been ruled out. An early theory was that he was left on the road, passed out on the road, somehow ended up on the road, and was run over to explain the injuries to just the top half of his body. But I haven't seen any reports that people actually believe that, now that the autopsy report has come out. Another theory is that he was actually injured on the side-by-side, maybe even was drugged behind it, trying to hang on, and that's why his fingertips were shredded. If you're connected to the side-by-side by your feet, that would also explain why the most damage was to the top half of your body, since that would be what would be touching the ground. But then he was showered, put in the back of a truck, and pushed out to make it look like he was hit by a car and then left there. This would explain why there was so little blood on the highway. But that would also mean that there would have been more damage to his body that would look like dragging to me. Another is that they were all just riding in the back of the truck when he was pushed out or fell out, and they left it. But do you see the pattern here? Someone left him there in all these scenarios. That's why the family believes that he was not alone when he died. Investigators have said that they are not investigating this as a murder per se. They're just trying to find out what happened to him. Because the alternative to these theories is that someone or several someones beat him. Many experts say that based on his injuries, a possibility is that he would have been beaten by multiple people to cause all that damage. Which, if he was, they could have put him on the road to be run over or just look like he was run over to try to blame all of his injuries on that. This is the most widely believed theory. And with this version, it sticks out to me that he was in the fetal position. That seems like a protective position, like a position that someone would go into if they were trying to protect themselves from something. One person posted their messages with Jack, showing that Jack said he went to bed a little before 1 a.m., Noah passed away around 4, that he saw Noah on the scene, he was the one that found him, and he wasn't beat up. He said he passed a polygraph, and he also said that the cops had ruled out him being beat. But the family disagrees with that. A lot of them have said that when they saw him at the funeral home, he looked like his nose and cheek were broken. He had significant bruising and swelling on his face. Plus, Noah walked away from the house around 3:45, according to everyone there. Why would Jack say he died at 4?
It would take a lot to do that much damage.
Yeah.
If there was only 7 or 8 people there at the time, they probably saw something.
Or was involved in something.
Something.
Yeah, and that's what the family is just trying to get some damn answers. I mean, there's so many different stories. It's ridiculous. And there's been a lot of people really trying to internet sleuth this case. People are separating the audio from all the videos that night, slowing it down, speeding it up, trying to say that there's people actually discussing hurting Noah at the party. But these are just people like us. I imagine that the investigators are doing the same thing with their $1 million equipment. Lots of people are posting on social media saying Noah was beaten with Jack's golf clubs. There's reportedly one of his golf clubs missing, if not multiple. Jack and his girlfriend went from engaged to single in their relationship status, so that's causing a lot of discussion. There's just a lot of stuff being posted right now, so investigators are going to have to sift through all of it to get to the truth. And the family luckily does have 3 of their own private investigators that are looking into it as well, and supposedly have uncovered some interesting evidence. So I have high hopes that this will be one that will be solved. But like I said, things change in this case daily. There are hours and hours of YouTube videos of people going through all the messages and Facebook posts where they've heated discussions.
People from the house that weekend all seem to have different versions of what happened.
Exactly. That is how I know how, because how I perceive something is not necessarily how you perceive something. It's all in the person who's witnessing. Different things, same thing can happen, but have different results depending on your mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your own experiences.
I'm still stuck on why the hell that one guy's got his teeth in his pocket.
In his pocket.
I don't understand that.
I know. That was so weird. And we won't be able to say a bunch of names on here. That's why I keep saying so-and-so's girlfriend and girlfriend's sister. because this is an active investigation and no one has been charged in the case, so all are innocent until proven otherwise. And if you go online and watch some of these videos or look at some of these videos that have been uploaded of the party, you're going to know people's names. People's names have been coming out since the beginning of this. It's getting very, very close to being a year that this happened. So there's been a lot that's come out. And if you're any part of the Facebook groups, there's several, then you already know who everybody's talking about. Now, reportedly, Jack's girlfriend and sister's mother owns the house, although I've also heard that the house was owned by their aunt and uncle. But the family apparently owns a lot of land, so it's really up in the air. But the more important inconsistencies are things like the guy who owns the other Hey Dude shoe. He says he saw Noah on the road and that he was wearing the black shorts and that someone had to have taken them off of him before the cops got there. He said he knows that because Jack busted in the door of the house around 5:15 a.m. saying that Noah was dead. Hey Dude jumped up and put his shoes on, but he could only find the one. So he literally just ran out of the house with one shoe on. When he drove up to the highway, he said that there was only a white semi-truck and a white service truck. So that shows that his version of events puts him there before police. His body position comes back to my attention here because that would mean that if someone removed his shorts, then they had to have put him in the fetal position, because if you're taking off someone's shorts, their body's likely going to be moved into a more open position to make it easier to get them off, not curled into a ball necessarily. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just another thing that sticks out to me. He said within 5 minutes, they were told they had to leave. And when they got back to the party house, everyone else went back to sleep.
They just saw their friend like that and they just went back to the house and went back to sleep.
According to this kid, yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well,
let's go to sleep. Maybe it was all just a dream.
Yeah, a lot are saying that it's because they were so drunk and they had literally just been, because if Noah left at 3:45 and then this was 5:15, you're an hour and a half later. You're going to tell me every single other person at the house went to sleep? But also in that hour and a half that people went and looked for him and they posted on Snapchat and they did all this business too, and then just boop, fell asleep.
Yep. So, well, we did what we could.
Apparently. And his story has been one that has not changed from the beginning, which I think it's the only story that has not changed since the beginning. Some messages from Jack to other people say that he was with his dad, Caleb, at 6 a.m. heading down to go fishing when they came up on the scene. But then Caleb posted on the Justice for Noah Presgrove Facebook page saying, quote, "My son texted me at 5:53 a.m. saying he'd overslept a bit and he would meet us at the ramp. Then at 6:05, I got a call no parent ever wants to get. It was short and hard to understand him, but he had driven up on Noah." So one version of events says that they were together when they came up on the scene on the highway. The other says that they were not. See what I mean about conflicting stories coming from everywhere? This is also the owner of the side-by-side that Noah rolled the night before. But the Facebook chats from people who know these people personally say that when the police arrived, they were loading the ATV up in the truck. So they made them take it out so they could look at it. They took it to the station and literally looked at it and then released it back to Caleb, who has since sold it.
That's convenient.
Yeah, only to them. The authorities have to go through all of this and get actual legit information and evidence. According to the family in another interview with Partners in True Crime, they said that each agency has dedicated a team to Noah's case. So the FBI, Oklahoma Highway Patrol, and the OSBI all have each assigned a set group of people to work just on Noah's case. The family also recently said that they know about a video of the birthday girl and her sister screaming at each other about Noah and what happened, where he went, things like that. So there's obviously more that the police have than they have released to the public. We just hope that this family can get some answers. The sooner the better. This will be one that we are going to watch and update when there's more information, because we want to bring awareness to the case and keep Noah's name out there. And this is close. You know, we like to do Oklahoma cases because it brings awareness to Oklahoma cases, obviously.
Yeah.
But this is just so sad. And there's so many rumors. I could have went down the line, but they're just rumors. I gave you a couple just so you can see where people are going with this. But if we set like I said, there's hours and hours and hours of conflicting stories and posts and things that just don't line up. So it's very frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
And the family has a GoFundMe that they set up to raise money for the private investigators and expenses. They also have hopes to start a college scholarship that will continue to offer yearly. So if you would like to donate, it is called Help Bring Justice for Noah. If you have any information about Noah's case, please contact the Southwest Regional Communications Center at 580-353-0783.
All right. Well, that's it for this one. Guys, catch us on the next one.
Bye.